I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Donald Trump has posted more vile, reprehensible, just frankly very weird posts over the weekend on New Year's. I want to share some of those posts with you so you just see how utterly desperate he is. So let's just start with this one. He is reposting rather, something from Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity says, at Governor Mike Huckabee slams Biden's U.S. Virgin Island vacation. And then Donald Trump responds to that. It's the arrogance of having a fake and corrupt media coupled with a president who is mentally blind. I mean, despite the fact that that rhetoric is just so immature, no offense to petulant third graders, but it's the language of a petulant third grader bully. I mean, it's just so unbecoming, so humiliating, just so embarrassing to have people even use that language who has support from some portion of Americans, even though they're MAGA extremists. But this is a point that MAGA extremists and their echo chamber are just talking about over and over again right now. They're saying, how dare President Biden take a vacation in the Virgin Islands? And you see this being echoed as well by people like Don Trump Jr., who writes, where is the outrage about Joe Biden going on a nice tropical vacation while the country suffers through a, quote, polar vortex bomb cyclone? Remember what they did to Ted Cruz? A president can actually do something about this stuff that a senator can't, and yet total silence. WTF, question mark. Everything they say is a lie. I mean, literally every single thing that they say is a lie. There is no longer a polar vortex bomb cyclone. The weather conditions, fortunately, have improved. That's what happens with weather. It's variable and it changes. And there was a very, very serious winter storm that did lots of grave damage to our country over a week ago. But the winter storm is no longer here. The weather has changed. There isn't currently a clear and present weather emergency, unlike the situation with Ted Cruz, when Ted Cruz left and abandoned his state in the middle of the emergency while people were actually dying. That's not what occurred here. The weather has improved. People can look at their window and see that. But it kind of reminds me, too, when Donald Trump, remember when he was in office and he with that big magic marker, just lied about where the hurricane was going just for the sake of lying? I mean, everything they say is a lie, every single thing, including just lying about the conditions of the weather. Just not serious people. Here, Donald Trump is reposting Sean Hannity boasting about the Chinese military because, let's face it, MAGA extremists root for China. They root against the United States of America. They root for our enemies. They go and they criticize the American military and say it's too woke because we have a diverse military. They think that the Russian military filled with all white men with shaved heads, that is what a military should look like, despite the fact that the Russian military is absolutely getting utterly demolished. And thanks to, in large part, the fact that the American military is working hand in hand with the Ukrainian military. But that doesn't matter for MAGA extremists. They look up to people like Putin. They look up to strong men. And here they look up to President Xi. I mean, that's why Donald Trump says in his speeches, I look up to President Xi. I call him king. I call him the king. I said, you are the king, President Xi. How humiliating and embarrassing is that Trump says things like that. And here Hannity saying, Chinese military jet comes within 10 feet of U.S. plane, forces evasive maneuvers. Here Donald Trump now in this next post is spreading the conspiracy, the disgusting conspiracy by MAGA extremists, MAGA Republicans. Let's face it, MAGA extremists are the Republicans in Congress now. And one of their conspiracies about January 6th, because they attack law enforcement, they hate the FBI, and they hate the Department of Justice because the Department of Justice and FBI is investigating their cult leader and is investigating domestic terrorism that's being caused by MAGA extremists. But the conspiracy theory relates to this individual who was at the insurrection, was there the day before the insurrection, named Ray Epps. And Ray Epps was a Trump supporter. The day before the insurrection, he was saying that people should go into the Capitol building. And he claims that he said that he meant it in a peaceful way. The day after, on the day of the insurrection, he kind of had a change of heart, and he's seen in body cam and footage he was horrified by what took place, and so he was telling people, do not go into the Capitol, do not be violent, and trying to actually help police officers. When he actually saw, wait a minute, this is a violent insurrection, he wouldn't participate in that. So the conspiracy theory being spread by Republicans, by Republican leaders, which are now MAGA extremists, one and the same thing, is that Ray Epps was actually the FBI, and the FBI is who's behind the insurrection. It's FBI and Antifa, not Donald Trump supporters. So that's what is being perpetrated, and all of the MAGA extremists are now attacking Ray Epps, despite the fact that Ray Epps was a Trump supporter, because Trump and all of these Republican leaders, they go after Ray Epps. And so they cherry pick a portion of Ray Epps' deposition testimony before the January 6th committee. It's Dinesh D'Souza who made that fraudulent Mules movie or whatever, the most embarrassing and humiliating conspiracy theory movie in the world, who they all look up to for just perpetuating all of these lies. And Dinesh D'Souza goes, on January 6, 2021, Ray Epps texted his nephew to say, quote, I was in the front with a few others. I also orchestrated it. See the relevant transcript and also link to full transcript below. Like, they quote that one portion of the January 6th committee transcript, and then Donald Trump's response on his social media platform is, the unselect committee doesn't explain Ray Epps, Sullivan, or other ringleaders. Gee, I wonder why. Again, spreading this despicable conspiracy theory. If you go further in the deposition, if you actually read the deposition of Ray Epps explains, he goes, the only time I've been involved in the government was when I was a Marine in the United States Marine Corps. He explained how when he arrived there the day before, he thought that people would, that there was not going to be a violent insurrection taking place, and that as soon as he realized that it was, he started assisting people. He assisted someone having a medical episode, and this is what he says. He goes, quote, I just looked around and I was sick. There was a lot of tear gas, a lot of bad stuff going on, and so he then left. One of the other things, too, is that the FBI had a poster with his photo on it, among other insurrectionists who were there that day. And so this whole theory about him being an insurrectionist makes absolutely no sense. Let me read for you, or the whole theory of him being an FBI informant makes no sense. Let me read for you Denver Riggleman, who's a former member of the House of Representatives who assisted the January 6th committee. He devoted a chapter on this Ray Epps conspiracy, and he talks about the Ray Epps testimony. And this is what Riggleman says. He goes, I watched when Epps spoke to the committee in January 2022. I was curious to see this man who had ended up in the eye of the storm and wondered which rumors were closest to the truth. My bullshit meter is well tuned. I wanted to see how he answered questions. Epps struck me as forthcoming and honest. He had no apparent awareness of encrypted apps that could have masked his communications. Possibilities and probabilities are what drive intelligence analysis. It is possible that Ray Epps had communications we missed. He could have used encrypted chats, burner phones, or alternate means of communication. All of that was, quote, possible, but with the mountain of data we processed, including the call analysis and Epps' testimony, it was not probable that he secretly worked for the FBI. His initial conclusion on the flyers was actually another data point that indicated he was not affiliated with the Bureau. His photo was there. He was someone the FBI said that they were looking for in terms of trying to find insurrectionists. Investigators deal with probabilities and ambiguities. Total certainty is a rare thing. However, it was certain that Tucker Carlson, Darren Beattie, Thomas Massie, Laura Ingraham, Donald Trump, and so many others were culpable in spreading conspiracy theory that had little basis. To me, it was undeniable that they had perpetrated the radicalization of MAGA supporters and put Epps' life in danger. When I watched Epps as he video conferenced with the committee, my main impression was of his deep regret. He hated what had happened to his family. Epps and his wife had experienced death threats. She moved out for safety. They had to sell their beloved farm. The full force of the conspiracy theory media complex had come down on Epps. It had crushed him. And in this book, Riggleman describes how really just upsetting it left him and disgusted it left him, these conspiracy theories that were circulating about Ray Epps. But on New Year's weekend, that is what Donald Trump is spreading. Then Donald Trump posts, "The failing New York Times is fake and corrupt news. Their motto should be," and this is in all caps, "all the fake news that's unfit to print. They are the enemy of the people." Again, Donald Trump attacking the media, calling the media the enemy of the people, using direct terminology that fascists use who ultimately try to kill people in the media and take over the media and have state-run propaganda media. That's the language that Donald Trump used because he's a fascist traitor, and that's the type of things he's posting on New Year's weekend. Donald Trump then posts this thing from OAN. He goes, "The Trump tax cuts, this is all caps, must be extended or our economy will come crashing down, the big one," because Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans root against our economy. And what they want to do is have tax cuts for the billionaires so that billionaires can get away with not paying any taxes while working class and middle class and hardworking Americans actually pay their fair share of taxes. Donald Trump goes on to post, "Wow, so while Trump-hating CNN and MSNBC, parentheses, MSDNC ratings are both at record lows, numbers that they have never seen before, parentheses, they're toast, Fox News ratings are also way down because they never say Trump or truth." He puts that in caps. "Never talk about the rigged presidential election and is a fake polling network. Our giant MAGA base, much bigger than anyone knows, does not like watching Fox play their games. Their ratings will continue to sink," and this is in caps, "make America great again." So Donald Trump attacking Rupert Murdoch and Fox and all of the media, and he's upset that his tax returns are being discussed where it is without any dispute whatsoever that he continued to lie and lie and lie about paying taxes. He didn't pay taxes. He claims he paid millions of dollars in taxes. He didn't pay millions of dollars in taxes. He had foreign bank accounts. He had a bank account in China. Paid more taxes to China in 2017 than he paid in the United States. He paid like $200,000 of taxes in China. He paid about $750 of taxes in the United States. Everything with Donald Trump is a big grift, a big lie, and undoubtedly the Manhattan District Attorney, the New York Attorney General, the Department of Justice have all seen these records, have all seen these documents, and 2023 is a year we will see justice and accountability, which is why we see Donald Trump's ranting and ravings, his complete and utter desperation as we head into 2023. And surely there'll be more of this. I'll just show you another one, but I don't want to keep going on with this because it's so insane and disgusting. But this is what he posts of Nancy Pelosi. He posts a photo of her with looking like a devil. And then he posts another photo, another article, this one of Dershowitz, who's already been sanctioned for his frivolous election lawsuit that he brought in Arizona. And Dershowitz goes, "The Supreme Court is going to regret the ruling on Trump's taxes." I mean, it's literally in the tax code that the House Ways and Means Committee is allowed to release the president's taxes publicly. Donald Trump said he was going to release his taxes publicly. Donald Trump was not under audit. That's something that we learned. And he just lies about everything. The precedent being set that a president should release their tax returns is a precedent that should exist. That's why President Biden released like 10 years of his tax returns, and every other president did the same. And other presidents all were part of the mandatory audit program, except for Donald Trump. Not only was he not part of the mandatory audit program because Trump's lackey, Steve Mnuchin, shut it down at the Treasury Department, which oversees the IRS, and Trump's IRS stooge shut it down as well. But Donald Trump targeted his political enemies to be audited when not under a mandatory audit program, but under a politicization of the IRS. So that's what we're dealing with, folks. Really despicable behavior, reprehensible, vile, hateful behavior by Donald Trump. 2023 is going to be the year of accountability. Look forward to this individual, this traitor, this disgusting human being going to jail for the rest of his life. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. In addition to hitting the subscribe button, check us out at Patreon. Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You'll love the exclusive content we have at our Patreon site, but most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.